Welcome to the Freedom Hustles podcast, where host John and Andy take you on a journey of liberation away from the 9-to-5 grind. Explore side hustles, remote work, and the skills to help you unlock true freedom. Brought to you by freedomskillsacademy.com, this podcast is your gateway to independence and financial empowerment.
Right, okay, so welcome then. Here we go, episode 72. Good evening. How you doing, Andy?
I'm good, thank you very much. How about you?
Yep, everything's fine.
The weather still warm over there, or?
Yeah, really nice. Yeah, it was about 30 degrees yesterday, so good.
Very good.
Right then. So tonight we're going to be talking about, so the headline is 3 excuses why people don't start an online business. Okay. And we're going to just talk about that, and we're going to share some experiences of some comments that we've had from people, and what we've heard, and what we've experienced from when we've spoke to people about this, and they're always really common ones. And so basically we're going to go from there, and so we'll start off. I mean, the first one, which you always hear, the first excuse people always give is that they don't have enough time. Okay. And obviously, we hear that all the time. We spoke about it a lot on the podcast. And it basically comes down to priorities, doesn't it, at the end of the day?
It does. This one I'm passionate about because I do actually, I mean, we've spoke about this from both angles. There are people who make excuses, and there are some people who generally do have very tough situations, and it can often be a reason. However, in the majority of the cases, we found that most people could find the time if they chose to. It's like you say, it's all to do with priorities. It's where they're spending their time. It's just one of those things where people will just flippantly say, I don't have the time. Yet, if they were to sit down with a notebook and pen and actually write down what they did over the course of a week, they would probably be amazed at how much time they do waste doing other pointless things that brings them not even any major pleasure. They just do things out of habit, or they do things and waste time, and then they'll look back and then think, blimey.
Yeah, I'd imagine it's definitely, there's definitely an element of that to it. I mean, we always start off by saying, things like, have a look on your phone. How much time are you spending on your apps? Like just literally doom scrolling through, Facebook, TikTok, or Instagram, or whatever it is you use.
Yeah.
I'd imagine there's probably, for some people, that can be like hours and hours in a week. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely.
Quite easily. I mean, they're designed, aren't they, to keep you scrolling. They are designed to hook you in, to stop you leaving the platform.
Yeah.
And they're showing you stuff through their algorithm, what they think you want to see. And so you do get stuck. And like you say, it's one of them things. If you can start with the question, and that is, if I can spend this amount of time looking at content, then what would it do if I was actually creating that content?
Flip around the other way. Yeah, exactly. Still use the app, but become a creator rather than a consumer. So, it's completely right. I mean, and obviously the other ones are things like, Netflix, and, people binge watch shows and all that. And, we're not saying don't have a life. Christ, you got to have some entertainment. Where I always make time for, a little bit of downtime. You need to have that. We've all got little hobbies and interests and stuff like that, which obviously we're saying, is still a vitally important part of it. But I guess like you say, it comes down to priorities. I mean, I always say this: if you needed 500 quid, if you absolutely had to get £500 by, say, the end of next month, right, and it was a real live or die situation, 100% had to get that money, you would get it somehow. Yeah, you would get it. Yeah. And I'm not talking about going to the bank and getting a loan or using a credit card. I'm talking about if you had to earn that money in some way or another, you would do it. And most of the time that would mean trading some hours to get that money, right? You'd have to put some hours in to go and get it. Whether it be sell a load of stuff on eBay, just go for it. Or whether that be, I don't know, do some extra work on on the in your your current job or whatever it is, and then and then I guess if you look a little bit longer, people say, if you want to write a book or something like this. I mean, this is one that we've talked about a lot. The idea of writing a book can be extremely daunting for most people. They just look at that and think, there's no way I'm, because they're looking at like 250, 300 pages.
Yeah.
And there's no way I'll be able to do that. But again, break it down and 1 hour per day, just 1 hour per day, which I'd challenge anyone, and I mean anyone, you should be able to find that. And again, you really have to look quite hard. If you can't find that, then you have to look at things like, getting up an hour before work, or if you're on a commute and you sit on a train, what do you do for that hour? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, that's time. You could use that time, and and that's a
Yeah.
perfect example of it, isn't it? Like the writing of a book.
It is. I mean, it's one of those. I saw a
Day.
photograph the other day. I got I think it was either a Facebook memory or something, and it was like, blimey, was that a year ago already? It seems like the year has just gone.
Yeah.
It seems like, and if you stop and think, a year isn't really that long. It doesn't take that long. So, like you say, you've got a book and you want to write a book. If you can squeeze 10 minutes, half an hour out of most days, do that consistently. By the time the year comes around, you will have a big finished product
Yeah.
if you carry on. And like I said, it doesn't take long before the year is over. You feel like it's going to be long, but you put that time in.
Mm.
But like we said before, it's one of the biggest problems, and you hit on it quite well. Is like, if you want your £500, you will go out and get it. If you have to, you'll go out and get it if you need it. A lot of people who say they haven't got the time, they are comfortable.
Yeah.
Comfortable in their lives. They're comfortable with coming home and
Yeah.
you have a long shower, getting the food, sitting in front of Netflix, whatever, and chilling. I mean, like I said, there's nothing wrong with that at all. And you're going to work, and that's
Mm.
your downtime. But you got so comfortable that you actually can't see where there's an extra hour or two spare because
Yeah.
you're just being comfortable.
And I think that's a bit of a trap in some ways. I
Yeah.
think you can get a bit too like that, can't you?
Mm.
But I often find that these people, I mean, I'm speaking to quite a lot of people on TikTok at the moment, with that account that I've set up on there, and I've been getting some really good conversations going and some really good engagement, and it's kind of like a 50-50 split, the general feedback and the comments I get 50% say roughly of, people that are really upbeat and really positive and, thanks very much. This is great. I'm going to try this at the weekend. And then, or some people are even saying now, like, that's brilliant. I made 250 quid this week thanks to what you've shared and all that. And I'm like, that's great. So you got the people on that side that are clearly doing it and they're making money and they're having a great, experience and they're learning and, they're putting the time in. And then you got the other side of the fence, which is just people that moan and they'll just be like, "This is a waste of time. There's no point doing it. Why do I bother with that? It's all right for you. You've got the time to do it." And it's all this victim mentality. You know, I'm, you got to feel sorry for me, and I feel like saying, when are these people going to wake up? No one's coming to save you. No one's coming to help you. Sad reality is no one cares. Right? You've got to do this on your own. You've got to do this by yourself. You need to find the time if it means getting up an hour early before work, that's what you have to do.
I have
Yeah.
to say, as a person, someone who knows you, these people who say that it's all right for you, you've got plenty of time, and they must be working as soon as they get out of bed. But they're working till they get back into bed because you're one of the people I know who's got the most hectic, busiest lives going,
Mm.
and you manage to squeeze time in it. Even I'm surprised at where you get stuff done and get things fitted into your life. So
Well,
yeah,
exactly.
these people must just be on the go all the time, which I
Yeah.
bet they're not. I get that
But
feeling they're
I'm
not.
doing it because me and you have got a goal and we've got a dream and we're not there yet and we're not going to give up until we do pursue it. And that's so we do this and we do what we're doing. Don't get me wrong, we do all right. We've got a nice lifestyle. You're working in Portugal. writing copywriting, and I'm doing web design, and these are all great things. And then we sell products through our website, the FSA, and it's great. Do you know what I mean? We're loving all this, but we're not where we want to be, so we carry on doing it, and we want to
We had
try
to
and help.
sacrifice time for that.
Sacrifice time, help as many other people as we can along the way, and hopefully build a community of people that want to come on the journey, and like-minded individuals, which is what we you say quite a bit. So you're gonna make the time, aren't you? You know what I mean? And that's sort of like the way. I think once you get comfortable and sort of settle, it's I don't know. Then it kind of like
It's
I don't know.
hard. It's hard to pull yourself out of comfort. It's like being in the bed in the morning, isn't it? It's a cold day, but you're laid in the bed, nice and warm. You don't want to go to work. You fight to have to get out
Yeah,
because you're
exactly.
comfortable. You'll squeeze in that extra few minutes, and so once you get comfortable, you don't want to get out of it. And I think that's what a lot of people mistake and
Yeah.
for not having the time. It's like you do have the time, you just
Choose
don't want
not
to
to.
do it. You
Yeah.
choose not to do it. So yeah, that's don't have enough time is a very poor excuse, really.
Mm.
So what's number 2 on the list? Don't
Um,
have the knowledge.
yeah, so the second one is, again, which I hear from people is, which is a bit of a silly one, really, but it does come up. And that is, though, that they just say they don't have the knowledge. I don't know how to do that. There's no way I could do that. Well, my answer always is everyone was the same at some point, right?
Absolutely, and
No,
it's the lamest excuse
it
ever.
is such a bad one. You didn't know how to write copy sales letters, from day one. I didn't know how to build websites and stuff from day one. Even things like selling
Mm.
something on eBay. Okay. Not everyone's going to know that, right? So it's we all start from zero. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know there's a bit of tech phobia among individuals, which I get that. But at the end of the day, you kind of got to overcome these. They're not fears, but you got to overcome these little obstacles, and
Mm.
and it might mean. No, I'm not pitching any of our stuff, but it might mean taking a course, or you know, seeking some sort of mentorship, or joining a mastermind group, or it might mean doing one or two or more of them things.
But there's a
Um,
reason why they exist is because
yeah,
people don't have the knowledge. You learn something and then you think, I'll pass it on to somebody else.
yeah,
And you teach people because obviously, as you said, nobody's ever born particularly with any form of information. You're not born an electrician, you're not born a carpenter.
yeah,
When I spent years working as a carpenter, I had to learn, and I spent probably the first year of my apprenticeship thinking I wasn't getting it. I just didn't. But then one day I suddenly woke up and thought, do you know what? I actually know this, but it's only because I learned it and I worked in it.
yeah,
It's the same with you with your engineering and everything. Everybody starts not knowing where to start.
mm, yeah.
And so that is one of the weirdest, lamest excuses ever because your answer is, it's just, well, learn.
One of the things that annoy me about that is I've received a fair bit of, not I wouldn't say a fair bit of the odd comment every now and again I get, and that is that people are scared of courses. They assume that all courses is some sort of scam, and I'm thinking, where's the scam element in there? Do you know what I mean? It's a
I think it's probably
course.
the
They
price.
provided you with a whole load of information. Okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to buy it, by the way. You can just ignore it. But the fact that they think that it's some form of scam, and I can't get my head around that, because if you've learned something, right, we're perfectly entitled now, okay, of sharing however long, like say like this, you've been doing like 10 years worth of experience, okay. You're perfectly entitled now to package up that 10 years worth of experience somehow into a series of, 15 videos, which will ultimately solve a problem for somebody. You are perfectly entitled to package that up and sell that. That's perfectly
Yeah.
fine. And I don't get the logic behind it, why people think that, because I get it quite a bit. Oh, it's really refreshing that you're not selling a course. And I'm like, well, I might do one day. I almost certainly will do one day to you. We've sold courses all the time, but and I sort of think, well, I don't get that. I really don't get that. You know,
I think, I mean, there's a very cynical generation, but I think it also says a lot about certain people, and that is a lot of people are they expect everything for free.
yeah,
They're entitled. They believe that. I mean, and some of the worst people who do expect something for free are the worst ones who won't. If you were to say, "Can I borrow you for for 5 minutes, or can I do this?" They'll charge you. You know,
yeah,
they won't. In my experience, some of the people they want everything for free, but as soon as you ask for something off them, you'll be getting an invoice for something overpriced, and you'll be like,
yeah.
"Okay."
Hang on a minute.
And it's I don't know. They just some people want everything for nothing, and or expect other people to give it to them for nothing. But I mean, you ask them later on, and it'll be a different story. But I mean, there is some genuine people who will share their information for free, and we share a lot for free. But at
Oh,
the end of the day, you do have a right to sell information if you help it. I mean, it's a business, an industry that's been around for bloody donkey's years. I mean, basically, I mean, every book. I mean, there's been books printed for years. You know, they were printed to be sold. You know, people bought cooking books. People buy. You know, people don't have a problem buying all these books from. I think maybe when it gets to a certain price, they get a bit. Oh, it's just a cooking book, or it's this, I know. But
it's crazy, isn't it? Yeah,
I don't know. But I mean, it is. It's
crazy.
history is built on buying information.
Yeah, and I didn't have an argument, but I joined a live earlier on TikTok, and I actually quite admire the guy. He is a very good. I won't say his name. He's not gonna. He won't watch this anyway. But I do admire the guy. He's very good at what he does, and he's very good um in the kind of online marketing space and everything like that. And he's very, very good on TikTok. So why I follow him on there, and I've learned a lot from him. But I joined one of his lives earlier, and he was going on about saying that university it was all a bit sort of, I wouldn't say tinfoil hat, flat earth, but it was getting that way. It was all like, universities is a scam. You don't need them now. They're a waste of time. And I understand his point, what he was trying to say. Basically, he was saying, I make 100 grand a year and I've never went to university and all that. And I'm like, I get that. Okay, I understand that. You are the one in probably 100,000 exception where that's path has worked out, right? But I felt like saying to him, where do you think if no one, in his world, university is a complete scam, they're a waste of time, the developing nation of everything would pretty much stop if you didn't have any more kind of academic study, right, that goes on, sciences, medical research, doctors, okay, philosophy, physics. I can't. He was saying, "No, it's all a waste of time. You don't need any of that." And I'm going, I know what your point is. You don't need to go to university to make money. That's fair enough. I get that. I understand that. But the fact that you can't generalize the whole of any higher education whatsoever. So my response to him was things like, "What about physics? What about AI? What about big tech?" Right? And he went, "Well, I use all that. I'm fine with all that." And I said, "No, I don't mean that. I meant the development of all those things. Okay, they weren't developed by internet marketers sitting around on TikTok. They were developed by very, very, very clever computer scientists, and I can guarantee you." They've all got very high levels of education, right? They wouldn't have, and he sort of, well, yeah. And then he was going on about, yeah, just read books. And I said, but who wrote the books? I guarantee all the people that wrote those books are very highly educated people. And I ended up leaving the chat in the end because it was getting a bit silly. But I was like, well, again, education. Okay. You have to learn from somewhere. Okay. We're not saying, go off and pay 20 grand on a university education. But the point there is, generally, if you want to do something that's worthwhile, you probably are going to have to learn how to do it in the first place. Right. So,
It's 50-50. I mean, I work for a couple of guys who have a similar sort of thought. You the idea is basically what I think they're arguing against is the whole idea was you go to university to get a better job, a proper job. It's the only way you're going to make money is become a doctor or have a degree, a master's degree. That's not necessarily true today. And the fact is, there's so many different types of universities and university courses. I mean, is it polytechnics are now called universities, and they're hardly Cambridge or Oxford. But I mean, I'll tell you now, I won't mention the name, but I saw today somebody who went to university and has now only just started to pay back her loan. When she went to university, she hasn't been for a few years, but when she left university, it was just under just under £62,000 to pay back to the government. It's now set at just over 75,000 because the interest rates have gone up. So she's gone to this university, which it isn't groundbreaking physics or chemistry or anything like that, or changing the world in that respect. But so she's now got a 75 grand debt.
Yeah. Oh no, and that I understand that point of it. I completely understand that point of it. I don't want to go off topic and off tangent a bit, but I totally get that. You're kind of like trapped in, you're going to be locked in, but it's no different really to like a mortgage on a house or anything like that. I know you could say you're getting a bit
you sell the house,
water, but you can sell the house. But I understand, But I think generally, it was just a bit of a weird sort of logic. So anyway,
he's a copywriter, marketing. He's basically trying to sell the fact that the only education you need is what he's selling.
From him, yeah, exactly. Yeah. We see through that, but I was like, hang on a minute, Jesus. Yeah. But anyway, so that's point number 2. So point number 2 is people that say I don't have the knowledge, or there's no way I can do that, and so on and so forth. And then
everything's learnable. That's what I just read this week, and everything that we do is learnable.
It doesn't matter what age either. You can start this at any time. We've been speaking. I mean, you speak to quite a few people. Like not to say old, but
I would
north of 60,
north of youth.
And they're sort of dabblling in this game. I mean, even you work with some quite successful people that I will say, I won't say their name, but they are, of a sort of older generation, to be said. Okay, so that's point number 2. And then the third one, which is a really, really important one that people need to get out of their heads. And that is that people are worried about what people think of them, or they're scared of what people are going to say.
Yeah.
And that is a huge one. And that definitely stops. That stops a lot of people, I think, doesn't it?
I've seen quite a few of these posts just recently on social media by people who they're now doing well, but they had the same issue, and they're trying to tell people the same thing. Because I've been studying a lot of people who's been using only Facebook to make money through using their profile for their business. And one of the things the questions that most people get is, but I don't want my friends and family to see me start swapping from posting cat videos to trying to sell this product. They don't want people to see that they're scared. And so the answer is often either set up a new profile or set up a sub profile, which I didn't know you could do, but you can apparently, so they don't see stuff. But my answer to that is it's very easy to be concerned about what people and friends and family think, but they don't pay your bills.
No, exactly. Yeah. And that's again, it goes back to the point we raised at point number 1. If you need this money, or you want to get out of the rat race, or if you want to escape and seek some freedom or something like that, whatever your goal is, you need to really ask yourself the question: do you really want it? Because if you really want it, then you're not going to care about what someone in the office thinks, or let's face it, someone who you don't really care about that much anyway, right? Because it always makes me laugh when people say these, you see these Facebook accounts and they've got like 4,500 friends. Well, that's, no one's got that many. You realistically, you've probably only got a handful of people that genuinely, and even they're going to say some things that's going to hurt every now and again. You're going to get that. You're going to get you wasting your time, especially from family. I mean, for my biggest naysayers, if you like, is from immediate family. Why are you doing that? It's a waste of time. What's all this? Why are you wasting your time with that? What? God, can't you just do that? Do you know what I mean? Why are you doing this? And all the time, I get that all the time.
It's kind of stopped for me now, but I used to have the same. I used to have especially my mother, my parents, but my mother was the can't you just get a proper job and go? You need job security, can't you get a proper job? And it's like they don't actually know what I do. Even after all these years, they still don't know fully what I do.
No. Yeah.
Because when I try to talk to them, they don't know. But they seem to have this idea that they know what's best for me, even though they don't actually know what I do.
Yeah.
And what I do has moved me up and down the country. It's allowed me to work from home, and it's allowed me to shift from the UK over to Portugal.
Yeah.
And I'll be shifting back from Portugal back to the UK in the next few months,
Just
and I'll still be working and earning.
Work remotely, work wherever you want. Yeah, exactly.
They still don't know what, but I mean, they've gone a bit more quiet now. They kind of accepted it, but it was always, and it isn't. And that's another point that I want to get across is that generally the opinions of friends and family is irrelevant. Because, like you said, if it's something you want to do, do it. Don't let people stop you doing what you want to do. Secondly, they don't know what it is that you're trying to do. And I don't know what it is about friends and family, but they're always quick to rib. And I see this regularly on these Facebook profiles. Like when I first started out, people were giving me grief. Oh, look, there he is on Facebook trying to sell this, or it'll never work. And he's just dreaming. It's like, and he says, was it somebody said, once I hit my first million, suddenly everybody was coming around and saying, "Can I borrow this?" And it was like, no, because you were too busy laughing at me to start off with. You didn't bother listening to me, and now suddenly you want me to show you what to do, or will you teach me? Like, no. They'll if I do, it'll cost you.
Yeah, they'll slag you off in the beginning. They'll say it's all a waste of time and everything like that in the early stages, and then when you make it, then they'll be asking you how you done it. Okay, it's simple as that. Yeah. It always goes like that. I can remember my dad, bless him, years back when we were running AdSense websites. Do you remember? And we were having some mental days, and me and him went out the pub, and we were in the pub, and I think he went up to get the round in, and I was sat at the table, and I had the AdSense app on my phone, and it was like 8 o'clock at night, and we were up to like 450 quid or something for that day. And he come back, and I went, "Yeah, look at that, Dad." And he went, "What's that?" And I went, "That's how much we've made today off just one website." And he was like, "What?" And you know what I mean? His mind was blown.
Exploded.
Yeah. And so it quickly went from you're wasting your time to, "Oh, right, yeah, good luck." Yeah, oh, wow, brilliant. Yeah, well, good luck. You sort of think, well, I mean, he didn't have a clue. He didn't have a clue. I tried to explain it, the whole kind of arbitrage system. Bless him. Yeah. It went over his head, and it was, but that's what's going to happen. And I think the sad reality is, now this might surprise a few people, but I genuinely believe this. I genuinely believe that most people in your circle, if you like, they want you to fail. Okay. They actually want you to fall over. They want you to fail so that they then can say, "I told you it was a waste of time." Okay. So if that's not a big enough incentive for people, then, I don't know what is, because I'm pretty convinced of that. That's a sad thing to say.
I think I agree with you in part. I think you're right. They want you to fail. Excuse me. I don't know if it's necessary to say "I told you so," but I think it's because going back to being comfortable.
Yeah, keeping up with the Joneses. They don't want you to go way above. Yeah.
If you go way above, then you basically change their comfortable life. Because everything that other people do, we are governed, not necessarily always governed, but what other people do affects us in a roundabout way. And if they're comfortable with what's happening in their life and what you're doing, and they're comfortable moaning about you, it suddenly changes their life. And I don't think they want the boat rocking in that respect. So I think there's an element of that in there. I mean, there is probably somebody who wants to do the told you so. But I think a lot of them, they don't like to be exposed. And again, the other thing is I've seen people saying is that when someone says, "Oh, that's going to fail," and then you don't fail, then that irks them because you've actually made them look wrong, and people don't like to be wrong.
No, they don't.
So, I mean, that probably goes back to what you were saying there about them wanting you to fail so they can said "I told you so." They just don't want to be exposed as being wrong and stupid.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing, and that's what they can't handle.
Which is again why you shouldn't necessarily pay attention to that sort of thing. You know what I mean? If you believe in what you're doing and you really want to change and do something about it, then you will, and you won't let those little things sort of get in the way, really. And again, like hate and people that snidey comments and stuff like that. Again, you're gonna get that. You just got to be a bit thick-skinned about it. And
It
you
is
know,
weird, isn't it? How everybody seems to be more obsessed with what you do.
yeah, it is strange. It is really strange. I'll probably get, I don't know, one or two a day, maybe not a day, maybe one or two every other day. I'd say on TikTok, which would be something completely and utterly stupid and pointless. And you just think, what a strange human being. Do you know what I mean? To go out their way to
Yeah.
say something to an absolute stranger that they think is going to, I don't know, I guess they're trying to do it to get kicks, or maybe they want to knock me down, or whatever. And I almost find it laughable. And in some cases, like we've talked about before, I use that as material. So it's brilliant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can reply to that. I can write an email about it, and just show that sort of victim mentality, that mindset, that sort of real poor mindset, isn't it, to be in?
There is some strange people out there who have this urge to want to comment on everything and bring people down and knock people down, and
Hmm.
it's like, but why?
I
They're not going.
know.
If they spent their time being more productive, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what a waste of energy. Yeah, do something else. Try and do something.
by the time they finish writing years writing negative tweets, they could have probably written a book that could have been a bestseller, or been an income stream. But they're not. They're just sat there whinging and moaning, sending messages to people, spiteful, hateful messages, and
Hmm.
it's just focus on your own life. And that's what I don't understand. I mean, it's I've tried to train myself over the years when people tell me what they do, and it's like, okay, that's good. Leave it to them, because that's what they choose to do.
Yeah,
They could be they could be a teacher by day and an OnlyFans person at night. I don't care. It's what they choose to do.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
what they want to do. None of
Like,
my business.
exactly.
They've
It's
obviously got their reasons why they want to
yeah,
do it. They probably enjoy it. They probably need the money.
yeah.
None of my concern.
And it's
What
like it's a little
concern?
bit like this conversation I was having today. Not everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. Do you know what I mean? What else?
Exactly.
It's sort of a bit, you know what I mean? How almost like what gives you the right to think that everyone should be self-employed entrepreneurs running online businesses? Do you know what I mean? That's not, some people only want 300 or 400 quid a month, don't they? Extra. They're quite happy doing their day job,
Mm.
whatever that is. But they just need a little
I
bit more extra money, and.
I know people I used to work with before what I do now, or say in between. Because of circumstances, I ended up going to work in a factory for
Mm.
a couple of years with some quite a lot of my friends work there, and they still do, and they enjoy it,
Of
and
course.
it's what they do.
Of course. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, I mean, one of them who used to work there used to own a hosting company for websites till he sold it, but he did that as his little side hustle in the evenings and the weekends. But he still works at the factory because he enjoys it. He goes there, and it's with people who he knew and he knows, and that was just a side hustle he did for some extra pennies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's yeah, everyone's different, but yeah. So going back to what that scared what people think is like, for me, the biggest one is that life is short.
Yeah. You're an
You
adult.
do what you want to do. You don't care what other people think. And at the same time, what other people think, A, is irrelevant. B, it's usually, I mean, I had this one discussion once with my old man who was in a pub talking about similar things. And it was when I was working down your neck of the woods.
Hmm.
Uh, and I was just trying to tell him what sort of stuff. And he was going, oh, it's not good because of the dot-com bust. Everybody threw money at them and they all crashed. And it's like 10 years ago. And it's a completely different thing, and he was trying to tell me stuff, and it was all ill-informed, and he was working on old information, and he didn't actually know what I did. And so this, going back to what people's opinions is, generally they know less about what you're doing than you do, so why would you listen to them give you advice when they, it's like asking somebody who drinks pints how to build a brewery. You
Yeah.
go to a brewer, not somebody who drinks beer, because it's two different ends of the spectrum. So why would you listen to someone trying to give you advice when they don't know what they're talking about, whereas you do? And then the third thing is, for me, is that other people's opinions don't pay your bills.
Yeah, that's the key one. Yeah, that's the key one. Everyone's circumstances are different, and like you say, people, it's going to happen. You're going to have to just sort of get used to it, and yeah, just kind of bounce it off. It really, really doesn't matter that much. Don't, it. And I think the more you kind of do this sort of stuff, the more you perhaps, if it is a camera thing, or if it's writing, or if you're going to do like Facebook marketing or anything like that, it's often the initial fears are up here, and then what actually the reality of it is nowhere near as bad. And then once you sort of get used to it and just start doing it, you don't care after a while, And not everything you write or make is going to be good. You're going to get some stuff where, people are going to say, oh, Jesus, that was a bit of a, but so what? You know what I mean? Move on.
You'll never be able to please everyone all the time.
No.
But then, there's people who hate it, and then there's people who will absolutely love it. And then you write for those who love it and you just ignore those who hate it, or vice versa. I mean, I used to work with a guy who said that the Dan Brown and the J.K. Rowling books were poorly written. They weren't very good. Yet there's people who love them. They've been turned into Harry Potter films. They've been turned into the Da Vinci Code films, and absolutely. These two authors have made tons of money by entertaining people who love their stories, who love the way they write. But this guy who I used to work with said, "Not very good, are they? They're a bit crap, really." It's like, well, I'm sure they're not bothered about what you think.
Exactly. Imagine if they were scared to publish, like, I better not publish this. It's not good enough.
Well, there's a great example. J.K. Rowling was turned down. Was it by about 12 publishing houses, or was it the 12th one that took her on?
Right.
So if by say publishing house 5 or 6, she thought, well, obviously it's rubbish. No one likes them. I'll stop. We won't have Harry Potter or the Beasts films, whatever they're called.
Yeah, it's mad.
But she carried on.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we'll wrap it up there. So there you go. 3 excuses why people don't start online businesses. To recap, it was don't have enough time, don't have the knowledge, and worrying about what people think. Just, if you overcome all of those things, which sounds like quite a lot, but it really isn't,
No.
then, you'll be on your way. And yeah, hopefully, you will start to see some progress. Okay. So thanks very much for listening, and we'll speak to you on the next one.
Thank you, and goodbye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Freedom Hustles podcast. We hope you found inspiration and insights to help fuel your journey towards freedom. Don't forget to join our free newsletter at freedomskillsacademy.com/newsletter, where you can find exclusive tips, updates, and resources to help elevate your hustle. Until next time, keep hustling towards your dreams.